My parents gave my sister everything and cut me out. She blew the inheritance on a deadbeat, and now they're begging me to support them for cash. You know, my entire life, I watched my sister get everything. The love, the attention, the endless financial support. Then, when she finally blew it all in the most spectacular way possible, my parents came crawling to me with an offer that felt less like an apology and more like a sickening, calculated bribe. Growing up, it was glaringly obvious who held the title of favorite child in our house. That was Angela. My parents treated her like she hung the moon. Every little thing she did, from a crayon drawing to a happy giggle, was met with this overwhelming gush of pride and adoration. Their whole world just revolved around her. Me? I was the older one, the responsible one. My needs always came second, or third, or often, not at all. I was an afterthought, a shadow in Angela's bright spotlight. Now, don't get me wrong. I never resented Angela. Seriously, she was my little sister, and I loved her. I know in families like ours, it's easy for bitterness to fester, but I never saw her as the enemy. How could I? She didn't ask to be the favorite, just like I didn't ask to be constantly overlooked. But yeah, there were definitely moments. Moments when I wished my feelings mattered, when I wished I wasn't always the one pushed to the side. Let me give you a glimpse of what I mean. Every year, for Angela's birthday, it was Disneyland. A whole day of magic, memories, and making sure her wildest dreams came true. For my birthday, we'd go to a local diner. The difference was stark. Her day was a grand celebration. Mine felt like a chore they had to tick off a list. Then there were extracurriculars. Our parents only had the budget for one child's hobbies. And guess who that was? Angela's ballet lessons. My tennis training? Forget it. I was actually good at tennis. I loved it. I had potential. But they just waved it away, told me to focus on my studies, called it just a game. The truth? They just didn't want to invest in me. And grades? Oh, don't even get me started. Angela rarely pulled a grade above a B. But when her report card came home, my parents would beam, showering her with praise, gifts, special treats. So proud of your effort, sweetie. For me? Crickets. No matter if I got straight A's, if I was top of my class, there was no praise, no excitement, no rewards. I was expected to get perfect grades, not for my own achievement, but to set an example for Angela. If I slipped up, even a little, scolding, lectures, the crushing feeling that I'd let them down. My achievements were simply never enough. When it came time for university, I was told I was independent and responsible, meaning student loans and figure it out yourself. But for Angela, full tuition, all expenses covered, no questions asked. She's too young for that stress, they'd say. It felt so incredibly unfair, like my independence was a punishment. But by then, I'd just come to accept it. This was our family. And the cars? Angela got a brand new car the second she turned 18. Handed to her, no questions. When I needed a car for my part-time college job, it took multiple pleas to finally get my mom's old, beat-up vehicle. It was constantly breaking down. I'd be stranded, freezing, late for work. And when I asked for repair help, figure it out yourself, my dad would say. Their golden child got everything. Their independent child got told to suck it up. But the real gut punch, the moment I truly understood the depth of their favoritism, came after my maternal grandparents passed away. My mom inherited a significant amount of money. I didn't expect any of it, honestly. What I didn't expect was to find out, via Angela's social media posts, that my mom had taken her on a lavish, luxurious trip, just the two of them. Fancy dinners, resorts, sunshine. They hadn't even told me. It wasn't just the trip. It was the chilling realization that they hadn't even thought to invite me. When I confronted my mom, she gave me flimsy excuses, then she said it. Casually. I've always connected more with Angela. She's just more like me. I didn't think you'd mind. I started to cry, right there. It was like a physical blow. In that moment, I knew. No matter what I did, I would always be on the outside looking in. Then Angela graduated college. My parents were absolutely ecstatic. They treated it like she'd discovered the cure for cancer. And my mom, glowing with pride, gifted Angela half of that grandparents' inheritance. No strings. No expectations. Use it for travel, a new car, a business idea, just enjoy life. Meanwhile, I got nothing. Again, not that I expected half, but to be completely ignored after all the sacrifices I'd made, it was a slap in the face. When I dared to ask why Angela got so much and I got nothing, they brushed me off. "You're strong, independent," my dad said, almost like it was a compliment. "You don't need our help." Funny, that strength was never something they saw in Angela. She always needed protecting, providing for. It was infuriating. But here's where things started to get interesting. Because Angela, with her generous inheritance and zero ambition, moved right back home after college. She claimed it was to save money, but it was clear she just preferred living off them. At first, my parents didn't mind. They'd always coddled her. But slowly, the cracks started to show. Angela wasn't just living there. She was demanding expensive groceries, no contribution to bills, treating their money like it was hers. And my mom, still her personal maid. Laundry, cleaning, cooking, Angela wouldn't lift a finger. She treated their home like a five-star hotel. My parents, who had spent years shielding her from any real-world consequences, were finally feeling the weight of their choices. They were getting older, less energetic. They started, tentatively, to ask Angela to step up. Just a little. And that's when the fireworks started. Any request, any tiny ask for contribution, groceries, chores, anything, Angela would erupt. She felt it was unfair. She didn't need a job, thanks to her inheritance, so she lounged around playing video games. Then there was the partying. All-night escapades, coming home at all hours. My parents would wait up, worried sick, but she didn't care. She was living her best life. The parents who had always made excuses for her were now staring at the monster they'd created. They'd given her everything, and now, when they finally needed her to act like an adult, she just refused. Things went from bad to worse when Angela fell for some guy online, Richard. He was a walking, talking red flag. No job, no ambition, just a black hole for Angela's money. My parents and I tried to warn her. "He's using you." We'd plead. But she wouldn't hear it. She'd get defensive, even furious. "You just don't understand true love," she'd insist, as she drained her inheritance, sending him money for rent, food, new clothes, video games. My parents, who had spoiled her rotten, now had to watch someone else exploit their daughter. Then, 2 months ago, out of nowhere, Angela eloped. She ran off and married Richard. No warning, no discussion. One day she was home, the next she was gone. We only found out when she video called us from her honeymoon, proudly announcing that she and her new husband were going to travel the world, funded by her remaining inheritance. The same money my parents thought she'd use for a house, a stable future. My parents were furious. Mom was absolutely livid. They had poured everything into this girl, given her every advantage. And in their eyes, she had just thrown it all away on a man she barely knew. Since then, things have been different. My parents, who once bent over backward for Angela, have finally started seeing the consequences of their actions. Communication with Angela is minimal now. And guess what? Suddenly, I'm the one getting calls. "How are you, sweetie? Want to grab lunch?" My mom, who barely acknowledged me, now calls just to chat, to go shopping, things she only ever did with Angela. My dad, suddenly interested in my work, my health. Family dinners? They revolve around my schedule. I'm invited to weddings, gatherings. "It'll be nice to have you there," they say, as if my presence ever mattered before. It's like they've decided I'm Angela's replacement. Part of me, the part that yearned for their love my whole life, wants to embrace it. But another part is deeply skeptical. Is this genuine? Or is it just a matter of convenience? Because their golden girl is gone? Because unlike Angela, they expect me to work for this attention. Like when my dad got sick recently. My mom, with her bad back, couldn't help much. Suddenly, I was expected to drop everything, no questions asked. They wanted me at the hospital every single day. They expected me to prioritize them, something they never asked of Angela. Then, at Christmas, they sat me down for what felt like an important conversation. They told me they wanted to give me a portion of the inheritance my mom had received. The same inheritance they'd explicitly denied me before. "We should have given you this from the beginning," my mom said. "Now you can invest it, or finally get a new car." I was completely blindsided. This was utterly unlike them. Angela had gotten everything handed to her, while I was told to be independent. So naturally, I was suspicious. I looked at them, dead serious, and asked, "Why? Why are you suddenly being so nice to me?" And that's when they admitted the truth. They sighed. They had learned their lesson with Angela. My dad added, We can never trust her again. She wasted all her money on that deadbeat. We know you'll use it responsibly. My mom looked at me and said it, so casually. In return for our generosity, all we want is for you to become our make-do temporary favorite child. A make-do temporary favorite. The words hit me like a ton of bricks. They wanted me to listen to them, be there for them, take care of them now that they were getting older and Angela was out of the picture. Dad chimed in. I always knew you were the responsible one. We have high hopes you won't disappoint us like Angela did. I just sat there, trying to process. It confirmed every awful suspicion. This wasn't love. This wasn't regret. This was a transaction. A bribe. They had lost their golden child, and now they wanted to buy my obedience, my presence, my care. They didn't value me. They valued what I could do for them. It was about securing a safety net because Angela had failed to be theirs. My parents hadn't changed. They'd just shifted their favoritism because Angela had let them down. I was nothing more than their backup plan. I could have refused the money. I could have protested, called them out on their hypocrisy, yelled about all the years of neglect. But what was the point? They wouldn't suddenly see the light. So, I kept my mouth shut. I took the money. Angela had been spoiled rotten, expensive gifts, free college, a brand new car, half an inheritance, and she blew it all on a deadbeat. I, who had worked for everything, deserved something. If they were finally willing to give, who was I to say no? But oh, the expectations. They skyrocketed. My mother constantly needs me to drive her around, even though she's perfectly capable. If I refuse, after everything I've given you, you can't even do this one small thing for me? She acts like that money was a lifelong contract. My dad is no different. I'm his personal assistant, paying bills, ordering things, making appointments. He calls me first for everything. These were things Angela was never expected to do. With me, they just assumed I owed them my time, my life, because they finally decided to acknowledge me. And I hate it. It's exhausting, overwhelming. Then, yesterday, my mom fell down the stairs. Hospital. 2 weeks of bed rest. And my dad called me. He demanded I move in with them, 24/7, to care for her. I was completely caught off guard. I told him I'd visit every evening, but there was no way I could drop everything and move in full time. He pushed back. We gave you that money specifically for this reason. Skipping work isn't a big deal. But I stood my ground. I told him he couldn't dictate my life, that I refused to become their full-time caregiver. Now, they're furious, accusing me of being full of myself. So, that's where I'm at. A lot of you have asked why I didn't just refuse the money or cut them off. The truth is, as much as I resent their past behavior, they're still my parents. A part of me worries that if I completely cut them off, I'd look back and feel guilty for not being there when they're older. It's probably the years of being forced into the mature, responsible role talking. But I also refuse to be taken advantage of. I'm trying to find a balance. I decided to hire a caretaker for my mom, and I'm covering the entire cost. Dad's still not happy, insisting no outsider can care for her like family, calling me selfish. But I can't keep them happy all the time. This is the best choice for everyone. And Angela? She's perfectly fine. Still traveling the world with Richard, living it up. She video calls occasionally, but my parents barely tolerate her now. They're still furious about how she betrayed them by using her inheritance for her own adventures, instead of, I guess, staying home and relying on them forever. It's wild to see how quickly their love turned to resentment. For years, she could do no wrong. Now, she's the worst person on earth. But she hasn't changed. She's always put herself first. The only difference is, it no longer benefits them. 2 weeks ago, I finally sat them down. And I laid it all out. Everything. How I felt growing up, watching them favor Angela. How it made me feel inadequate, never enough. I told them that now, with Angela gone, it felt like they were just using me as a replacement, not genuinely caring about me. I made it crystal clear. The money didn't mean I owed them anything. I told them how exhausting it was to be treated like their personal assistant, constantly running errands, handling their lives. I wasn't their servant. I wouldn't be guilt-tripped. At first, they argued, tried to justify it. We didn't think you'd mind. You were so capable. But I stood my ground. And eventually, they actually listened. They even apologized, in their own awkward, hesitant way. It's not a magic fix. Our relationship won't transform overnight. This was the first time I'd ever truly spoken my truth to them. But now they know. If they want me in their lives, they have to treat me with the respect I deserve. It's been 4 months now. I took some of the advice I got, and I started therapy. Honestly, it's been one of the best decisions of my life. It's helping me process all those buried emotions, and I'm learning to set boundaries without feeling guilty. And surprisingly, my parents have actually been understanding. The demands have lessened. The constant expectation to be at their beck and call, it's not there anymore. We still spend time together, but it feels normal now. Like a genuine parent-child relationship, not an obligation. It's not perfect, but it's so much better. And Angela, just as I knew would happen, she's trying to find her way back. All her money's gone, and Richard still refuses to get a job. She reached out to me for help recently, but I refused. I know if I give in once, it'll never end. She also went to my parents, hoping they'd take her back, but they actually stood their ground. My father told her straight up. She was on her own this time. So now Angela and Richard are living in his parents' basement. I hope she eventually figures things out, truly. But my life? It's finally starting to feel like mine.